everybody, and welcome to the Smoky Mountains podcast. So happy to finally get this thing going. It's something I have been working on for months now, lining up guests and getting things in order, picking out the right software, all of the things that you have to do, buying the mic, the things that you do for a podcast. So here we are, and I'm so excited to finally be able to get on here with you guys. If you are listening on one of many different podcasting platforms, so thank you so much for being here. It means the world to me. I'm so excited to be able to bring this to you and to be able to share my love for the Smoky Mountains with you. And if you're over on YouTube, and all of the podcast episodes will also be aired on YouTube, where you can see the full video. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. The intent of this is to, like I said, share my love of the Smokies with you. But not just that, to inform you, to entertain you, all of the things that come with this beautiful thing called a podcast. That's what we're here to do. The object is to bring on various guests from the Smoky Mountains, in and around the Smoky Mountains, whether it's entertainers in the Smokies. We're going to have several of those on this podcast, whether it's people who live there, their day-to-day life is there, people who work with the national parks, whether it's YouTubers who happen to film in the area as well. We're going to bring those folks to you. And as part of that, we're also going to bring to you their top five, our guests' top five in various subjects, whether that is restaurants, their top five restaurants, top five hotels, top five attractions, top five hikes, whatever it is. Every single episode, we're going to bring you that guest's top five things. So excited to be here. Thank you so much for being here. And I wanted to let you know who our sponsor is. Yes, we have a sponsor right out of the gate. This podcast has a sponsor. It is allaboutthesmokies.com. It is your website for planning your Smoky Mountain vacation. News and information, upcoming events, as well as coupons, as well as reviews. Everything that you need to know to plan your Smoky Mountain vacation is available to you at allaboutthesmokies.com. So be sure, after you're done listening to this, or while you're listening to this, it makes no difference to me, head on over to allaboutthesmokies.com and check out what is happening in the Smoky Mountains. Speaking of what's happening in the Smoky Mountains, thank you so much again for joining me on this podcast. That's what we're here to tell you, what's going on in the Smokies. I am so excited about our first guest on this inaugural episode of the Smoky Mountain podcast. So excited that my voice is almost cracking at the sheer excitement of what's coming to you right now. All right, so we are here on the Smoky Mountains podcast, and I want to introduce some new friends of mine. They go by Two Indie Travelers on YouTube, but for today's video, we have Santa Claus and Mrs. Claus here. So thank you so much for joining me on the podcast. I appreciate you guys so much. So can you tell me a little bit about yourselves and about the YouTube channel, like how you got started with creating content there in the Smokies? What inspired you to start filming there? Just a little overview of your connection to the Smoky Mountains.
You got it. Becky, why don't you tell them? Now, she was actually the one that set up the channel, and it was kind of she and I were just bouncing around ideas, but she set it up. Yeah. So when was it? It was just a little over a year ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, hard to believe. Just over a year ago.
Yeah.
And, of course, with the pandemic and, being at home and watching a lot of TV, we both decided, we're home. We might as well see what other people are vlogging about and talking about. And
sure.
It was interesting to find so many channels, and we kind of thought about how well, we could do this. We want to do this as well. We love to travel. He came up with the name, and the rest is kind of history. We're hoping that we continue this path since we're still so new at it. We're enjoying going around different places in the Midwest, and of course, we found our favorite spot to go to, which is Gatlinburg, Tennessee.
Now the Smoky Mountains. Yeah. My first visit was back in 1991, and I just absolutely fell in love with the Smoky Mountains. And I've been asked before, it's like, what is it about the Smoky Mountains? It's one of those things to where once I'm in the Smoky Mountains, I feel like I'm like me. You know what I mean? The place puts me at total ease, and the beauty of the place and the peacefulness of the place. But then also you've got that liveliness too of the downtown Gatlinburg area and Pigeon Forge. So there's a lot of activity, and you can kind of feed off of that. It's just, I don't know, there's just something about that place that draws me back. The commercials are correct when they say the mountains are calling, and that's what happens.
Yeah, no, and I always explain it to people as, I've never lived in Tennessee, I've not lived in Sevier County, but every time I go, I feel like I've come home.
Yes.
That's how it feels like for me. Like it's coming home, and I don't know. It never gets old. I mean, there's so many different places to vacation out there, but for me, I just keep choosing the same thing. So
it's nice to hear other people say the same thing that we say.
Yeah.
And of course we get questioned, well, you're going back to Gatlinburg?
Right.
Why are you going back? And they, if they don't go, then they don't understand it. You have to really experience it. And we do try to go at least 2 to 3 times a year.
Yeah.
It's just our go-to.
Even if it's a short trip, that we can stay, we take every opportunity we can to get there. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's just so comforting.
Yeah.
I say it's our home, but you know what I mean. It's
no, I do. I completely do.
Yeah.
My wife is always, she likes it too, but I think she doesn't get to the level that I do. Of course, having a YouTube channel and everything else and traveling down as much as I do. But for me, I said there's something for everyone. No matter what it is that you enjoy about a vacation, there's definitely something for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So, have you guys developed some favorites while you started going? Are there like must go places, whether it's like restaurants, activities, hikes?
There are all the above.
Yeah, the hikes. I mean, it's one of those things. When we first started going down, we spent a lot of time in the park, and that was the star of the show. And we would always stay in the village, but we spent most of our time in the park. But when we go down, I've always have to get an ogle dog.
Is that your thing?
It has to happen. The trip is not complete without an ogle dog. And Vicki will laugh at me. She's like, what's so wonderful about this fried, this fried hot dog? And it's like, it's wonderful. You know?
I still haven't tried one, but he loves them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we have our favorite. Well, we can start, with restaurants, and there's so much that's continuously being built, and so of course we want to try the new spots, but we always tend to go back to, like Cumberland Jack's is our.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's a newer one, and we went there for the first time back in April. We had a trip this past April, and we went in there, and that place is just so comforting, and the food is so comforting.
Yeah.
It was one of those things where I was peeking back in the kitchen, and it was like, man, somebody's got my mom's recipe or something, that place was so good. Loved it.
Yeah, very, very, very good. But there's so many, it's hard to choose.
Yeah. But
that was just the first one on the top of my
Yeah. But as far as the restaurants, what's kind of interesting about that area is it seems like there's a different vibe between Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge.
Sure.
Restaurant wise. And if we're in Pigeon Forge, we always go to Blue Moose.
Oh, love Blue Moose.
Yeah.
Love Blue Moose.
It.
There's something about
probably the best wings I think I've ever had, period.
Agreed.
And the thing, well, yeah, I'm thinking about it because we've been there several times, and I always go back to what I know, and that's the wings, but they've actually got a really good burger there too.
Yeah. Yeah, some friends went, and they were like, if you had to go to just one place, where would you go? And I said, man, go to Blue Moose.
Oh, nice.
I said their wings are the best wings I've ever had, and I always get bone out. I don't like fighting with my food. I'd rather just eat it, and it's more like a chicken chunk than it is like a wing, but it's a delicious chicken chunk.
So they do such a nice job. I think the service there has always been just impeccable. I mean, never complain. No. And we've been there probably 4 or 5 times.
Yeah, I feel like the last couple times we were there, we met with some other friends that lived.
Yeah, we turned them on to it because they actually live in the area, and they were like, "Man, we've never been here." It's like, how do you live in this area?
That's crazy.
Never experienced the Blue Moose. Are you kidding me? Yeah. And that's one of the other things that's kind of interesting because we've got some really good friends that live in that area, and they're like, I watch your channel and other channels to find out the stuff that's in our town.
I know, and it's crazy.
So,
but no, that's awesome.
And then of course, we have favorite hotels that we've stayed at.
Yeah.
I don't know if that would be.
Yeah. I mean, if there's ones that you come back to, like, for me, there's certain chains even. I know some people I've seen on talk about, like, why would you come over here and stay at a chain hotel? And I'm like, because I know it, and I know it's going to be good. But there's other ones like the River House that you guys recently stayed at and reviewed.
Yes.
And that's, of course, Eric from Smoky Mountain Family on YouTube. That's their go-to. But there's certain ones. There's the restaurants. There's the attractions that you always have to do. There's the stores you always have to hit. There's a couple in Pigeon Forge that we love, that we always go to. So there's always those old standbys, right?
Oh yeah,
of course.
Yeah.
So
it is.
What would you say your favorite memory is from the Smokies? I love asking people that question, just that I come across that I know go pretty regularly. Like what's that one moment that you remember that stands out?
Laurel Falls.
Definitely.
It was like one of our first visits down there, and we went on a good hike and wanted to see the waterfalls, so we went to Laurel Falls, and it's not a real difficult hike because it's paved.
Right.
But my goodness, it seems like the entire thing is at like a 45-degree angle getting up there, just climbing up. And then once you turn that little area and you see the waterfalls, it's like, oh, wow, and then you see that there's another area below that, and it's like, man, this is amazing.
Yeah. That was breathtaking.
Yeah.
Well worth the hike. And not knowing what to expect. I mean, we kind of had some people tell us, it might take you a while to get up there, and it wasn't a bad hike.
No,
like you said, but you look over the side and you can definitely see the danger if you're not careful.
Yeah.
But no, that's Laurel Falls is definitely.
That was probably one of the most memorable because that was like one of our first trips as a couple going there. That was in like 2012, and just amazing. And then probably recent to date was our most before this Christmas trip that we took the first weekend of December when we were down in April, and it's like we hit the lottery because Eric turned us on to River House and he turned us on to Gatlinburg Inn, and kind of like what you're talking about, it's like we were always staying at the chains because that's what we were familiar with. And so we would normally go down and we'd stay at, either the Hampton down on the Strip, or we would go to Airport Road and stay at that courtyard up there because we really liked it.
Yeah.
And we started watching some of the videos from some of the other podcasters, and primarily Smoky Mountain Family. So we were watching their podcast, and it's like, man, that river house looks pretty cool. So we ended up getting the grand suite at the river house, and we spent, I think, 2 nights there. Then we spent 2 nights at the Gatlinburg Inn, and they ended up upgrading us into a room just out of the kindness of their hearts. There were wonderful people at the Gatlinburg Inn, and they put us in the blue room, and that blue room was amazing because you're right there on the strip, and the room was really cool, and it just the history of that place was really just, I mean, it's unbelievable walking those halls, And at night, I mean, walking those halls at night, it's like you can feel a presence of something there,
Yeah. And
so much history there for sure.
Yeah. I was just saying we didn't know a whole lot of the history until we stayed there. I mean, we knew that it was historical, and of course that does stand out as one of our favorite memories.
And then we got to hang out with Eric for the first time because we were going back and forth, and so it was just a really good time because we were experiencing things that we would not have experienced otherwise.
Yeah, and I think that's part of what's good about when you see videos on YouTube, but when you have that connection down there when it's somebody who can tell you, okay, these are the things to avoid, these are the things to look out for, and that's what any of us with YouTube channels, that's what we try to do. When it comes to like food reviews, it's hard because everybody's tastes are different.
Yeah,
sure. But when it comes to things that are, this room was clean. The beds were comfortable. The rates were cheap. These are things that are indisputable. It doesn't matter what else you think. I'm not a paneling guy, as some people know. I don't like paneling on the hotel walls. I just it's a personal preference. But that Gatlinburg Inn, despite that, just the staff was great. It's so clean, and it felt like you were staying at somebody's house, but in a good way. That sounds like a negative, but like you're at your grandma's house for the holidays or something, and you just somebody nice is inviting you into their home, So it is a great experience for sure.
Well, and that complimentary breakfast that they have at the Gatlinburg Inn, holy smokes, that breakfast is actually really good.
It's a full-on breakfast.
Yeah, it's a full-on breakfast. I mean, we were like, this saved us some money,
Yeah. Absolutely. Now, you mentioned Eric, and for those, I mean, these podcasts will be on YouTube, and many people who watch my YouTube channel also follow Eric from Smoky Mountain Family. But for those that are just listening to the podcast and aren't familiar with the whole world of YouTube that's out there, Eric from Smoky Mountain Family does have a YouTube channel where they do reviews. But they'll stay at cabins and show you different things around town. When there's major weather events, a lot of times they'll bring it to you, whether it's snow or flooding or whatnot. So just to give context, and you can look them up, Smoky Mountain Family, on YouTube. So you were able to finally make it to the Smokies at Christmas time. I know you mentioned it was your first time going.
Yeah.
So kind of segue into talking about what we're going to here in a moment, but I want to say you went to the Smokies and as Santa at moments walking around in the downtown, going to Pigeon Forge. What was that experience like for both of you to go and see people's reaction, where people want their pictures with you and to be able to sit and talk to the kids? What was that experience like?
Really can't even describe it. It was just it's one of those things you really see the goodness and of people, and it's just I mean, people talk about Christmas, and Christmas it is a wonderful and special time of year. And for me, being Santa and just seeing the reaction of the kids, it was just overwhelming. But then the adults, it was awesome. The adults, they almost, there's times where it's like I was talking with some of the adults and they would kind of regress back to like this this child's voice, and they're looking at Santa, and it was just a wonderful experience. And we were giving away little care package things, with some candy canes in it and a Believe Bell and that type of deal. And the kids were really responding to it. But Bob, I can't even begin to describe the feeling. It warmed my heart in such a way. I cannot even put words to it. But it was amazing.
Awesome. Yeah.
It was amazing. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
And to see so many people of all ages and walks of life, I mean, the children, of course, are the first ones to spot Santa, and then they're running.
Yeah, it's almost like they have like a Santa radar or something.
It was adorable.
It was the craziest thing.
And so genuine. I think that was the one thing that really, it really pulled on both of our heartstrings, because we didn't know what to expect, first of all, and then just to see the overwhelming positive response, and grandmothers and mothers and just grandfathers. I mean, all these people just like Scott was their long lost buddy, or I don't know. Everyone connected with him, and I was really proud, and it was hard not to get emotional at times.
I mean, there were a few times where it's like I got choked up.
Yeah.
Because like the whole Santa thing started probably like 20 years ago, and Vicki was performing. She was part of the house entertainment of a venue when we were living in Texas, and they were supposed to have a Santa to show up, and Santa didn't show up. And Vicki,
I'm a singer, by the way.
Yeah,
that was one thing I just wanted to entertain.
And so Vicki calls me up, and she's like, "Hey, there was supposed to have been a Santa here. Is there a way you can help out?" And I was like, "Well, let me see what I can do." And there was a really, really good shop down the street where they, had all kinds of different costumes. I mean, that's what they did. They designed costumes. Yeah. And I went in, I picked up a decent Santa suit and showed up. At that time, I didn't have this beard. This is my beard. And so I showed up, and I was Santa, and it was fun. And then I kept that suit around, and I would pretty much portray Santa for family members and friends and that type of thing. But the experience that we just had in December, that was my first like full-on experience of like leaning in to the whole Santa thing. And I wasn't ready for it. It kind of caught me off guard. It's like, holy smokes, this is all right. This is something special, and I was just kind of making my way through it and learning as I went, and then I found myself just really embracing my Santanism. And it was so much fun.
Yeah, and it was neat too to see the collaboration that the Smoky Mountain family and Scott, really Eric to do all the filming and to see his creative take on bringing it all together, and he captured a lot of these really
just sweet moments. Yeah, very genuine. Yeah,
so that was neat.
It was neat. It was neat.
Very cool. And that's what I got to watch that and experience that through Eric's eyes. And I know one thing he voiced to me privately was that he was upset at the weather, that it didn't cooperate more, that you weren't able to just freely walk down the street and really get that full experience. But, kudos to you for, I know it was a great experience, but that's also a vacation time, time that you could be spending doing something else, and to take that time to bring some joy. And I think that reaction, right, is it shouldn't be too surprising, because what are people looking for? They're looking for hope. They're looking for, so they want joy. They want to feel something, and to see Santa out of nowhere walk into their vacation and the time that they're having, and being able to come up and interact with you, I'm sure was an awesome experience for them as well.
Yeah. It's definitely something, and I think we're making plans for next year.
Good.
Yeah, that's safe to say.
So this is that segue into every one of these podcasts. I want to be able to give the guests an opportunity to share at least part of a top 5 or their full top 5 in particular subjects. It can be anything from top 5 restaurants, top 5 hikes, their favorite dinner shows, whatever it is. We're going to bring you top 5s from the Smokies, and now we're going to talk to you guys out there in podcast land about Santa's top 5 Christmas themed things to do. Top things to do. I tell you this, the laugh is perfect. The laugh is perfect. I appreciate it. That ho 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 that only true Santas can do. So I appreciate it. So I'll chime in with a few of mine as well. But with this being your first time in the Smokies at Christmas time, what would you say one of the top 5 things for you, your experience was for Christmas time?
Seeing the way the town transforms. And just all the displays, the lights, all those things. It was just amazing. And given the weather wasn't cooperating, but you could still see those beautiful lights as you're going down the strip and things. And the different areas, because we went over by the arts and craft district or community area too, and looked at some of those lights. And just the way the town really comes to life. For Christmas, and seeing that whole transformation, which Gatlinburg does a great job, no matter what season it is, they always embrace that season. But it seems like Christmas is something really, really special. So I'd have to say the lights were pretty amazing. And then the incredible Christmas store. I think that's the name of it. Is that what it's called? The Incredible,
The Incredible Christmas Place.
The Incredible Christmas Place. That place was just amazing because, which we like Christmas.
Yeah, just a little.
Just,
a little.
And so walking in there, it was like, oh, look at this, and we're like kids with big eyes, going through there, looking at everything. And it's like, look at these cool ornaments they have.
Yes, I could spend hours.
All the different variations of Santas and everything else. I thought people were just making action figures of me at that point. So
yeah, like I think there's a name, image, and likeness where you should be making some money here, right?
But no, those are the two things. And then we caught a little glimpse of the parade because we were staying at Zoder's, and we were unloading because we got in. It was a little bit later in the evening, but the parade was still going on. So I walked out on the back portion of the parking lot there, and what's the road that comes down through there where like everything kind of forks together, where Anakeesta and all that is when you're coming up? I can't remember what it is, because if you go up, I think that's the same road that takes you to the arts and crafts community.
So one thing you'll know about me, and it's shameful. I'm doing YouTube channel and a podcast. I am horrible with road names. So I couldn't direct someone out of a store down in the Smokies. Much less. I can tell them kind of where things are, but roads. But I know where you're talking about it. I think our listeners who are smacking their foreheads right now too. Probably know what you're talking about.
But because I stepped out.
Parkway.
Right. I mean, because I stepped out on the backside of the hotel there, and I could, catch a glimpse of it, and you could hear the marching bands going through and everything else. It was amazing, and I could see a little bit. It was so crowded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We knew there was a lot of people, but there was something to be said about the amount of people.
Well, so Bob, say you. I mean, because you probably have a lot more experience with it than the two of us.
I really don't. I think I've been down once myself. Most of our trips down the Smokies, this last year was the first time I'd been down at that time. We usually come either in the summer or the fall. But since I started coming down almost monthly, Christmas is such a busy time. It's hard to make it there. So I finally got to come down, and to piggyback off of your things. I mean, the lights are amazing. I've never got to see the parade in person, but would love to sometime. But so for me, the two things I would add to round out that top 5 would be the Christmas the Christmas Inn, the Inn at Christmas Place, I guess they call it.
Yeah.
That is fine. That is an amazing hotel any time of year. Service is some of the best service that you'll receive anywhere. Cleanliness is top notch. But at Christmas time, that place is just amazing, and they have characters that you get to meet. They have cookies and hot cocoa in the lobby area. So many things. Each room is themed. The property is themed on every level. It's just a beautiful, amazing place. And if you've not gotten a chance to stay there, I would highly recommend it. It is on the expensive side. So we were talking about, earlier, if price is what you're looking at, that's probably not one that you would probably try to stay at. And then the other thing, maybe feels like an obvious one, but Dollywood. The theming at Dollywood at Christmas is something to behold. Absolutely beautiful lights everywhere. Dollywood always does such a good job. It doesn't matter what time of year. I think it's just like you said, when you're talking about, the way that the Smokies dresses up for other seasons is great too.
Yeah, I love
but like really shines at Christmas time. It just is just beautiful. So I would highly recommend that as well.
And you know what? I'm almost embarrassed to say it, but we have never been to Dollywood.
No, I've been, but I was a child.
Okay.
So I've not been as an adult.
I have never been.
Yeah.
And so.
Yeah, and that was something I kind of, and I still to this day, especially when I'm doing a trip for YouTube and I'm recording a bunch, that's really hard because it takes up majority of a day.
Yeah.
So you really have to love Dollywood if you're visiting from out of town to be okay with it taking up most of a day. But if it's part of your, Christmas tradition, especially to be there at Christmas is well worth it. It is, again, it's another one of those things that if you don't ride the rides and things, maybe you like the shows. So there's a little bit of something for everyone there, but it's a pricey ticket. But I think it's worth it if you're talking about the overall experience. But yeah, that's something. The first, I don't even know how many years, 5 years of coming to the Smokies where I didn't try it. I wasn't going to, but finally gave in. I'm glad I did.
Well, we keep saying we're going to do it the next time.
Yeah.
Well,
because every season, yes. It's
I think what's
different and beautiful.
difficult is there's just so much to do there. There's so much to see. And you're sitting there and it's like, okay, I've got a limited amount of time.
Yeah.
Right.
Where can I spend it and see the things that I, can fit into my list? Because you start, taking a look at things. And I think that's probably part of the reason, because we know if we go to the theme park, we're there for the entire day, and
right.
we're taking in the sights, which it's probably definitely worth it. And we're going to experience it here very, very soon.
Yeah.
I hope. But yeah, there's so much, and it's ever changing. I mean, what's crazy is just in the, few years that we've had our channel and going down there, it's like, there's new things, there's old things that are, revamping as well, and, making change, and it's just incredible. But it's a place that you have to experience.
Yep. And I would say that for the Smokies in general, to anyone, it's definitely a place that you have to experience at least once. And if it's not for you, that's fine. But
we
definitely would recommend
that if it's not for you.
No, I don't either. I know someone who actually didn't have a good time, but they don't like vacation. So, so I think that disqualifies them automatically. I don't identify with that. Well, thank you so much for sharing that list with us. Christmas is such a magical time to visit. And those of you listening, we'd love for you to share your favorite Christmas things to do in the Smokies. Down, if you're on YouTube, leave it in the comments below. If you're on a podcast platform, most of them have some place to leave a comment. If there's no place to leave a comment, you can reach out to me directly. I'd love to hear from you. My email address is bob@allaboutthesmokies.com. Please drop me a line and let me know what you love about Christmas in the Smokies. And we may share your comments on a future podcast. So thank you so much. And thank you both for joining us. Thank you for coming on and spend this time with me. It's been a lot of fun. I've really enjoyed getting to know you guys a little bit better. For those who would like to follow your adventures in the future, where can they find you?
Well,
You got a jingle bell
This
attached
is-
to a business card.
this is one of the things that we were
We were
handing out.
Oh, yeah.
Was the Believe Bell. But here's what we also had on it. So,
other side, yeah.
I don't know if that's
So
gonna.
the QR code will
That's the
take you
QR
to
code that'll take you to
our
our
3 channels.
YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
And that's 2 Indie Travelers, TWO, Indie, INDY Travelers.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So,
Well, and if you are watching on YouTube, be sure to go over there and subscribe. Let's
Please.
get them to
Thank you.
1,000, and you won't regret it. I've enjoyed watching your content. You guys have been doing a fantastic job.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate your
So-
time and appreciate the invite.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Been awesome.
thank you so much. Hope you have a Merry Christmas.
A
Merry
very,
Christmas.
very Merry Christmas to you.
Yeah.
So, Bob, I guess in closing, as we fade out of sight, Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night. Merry Christmas.
All right, so thank you so much to Scott and Vicky for joining me on this inaugural podcast. Thank you to you for joining us on this podcast. If you liked the podcast and you're on YouTube, be sure to give it a like. If you're on one of the other podcast platforms, be sure to subscribe and leave a review rating the podcast at 5 stars so that this can be pushed out to more people. We want to reach a community of people who are like-minded, who love the Smokies as much as I do. So we're so excited to be able to bring you this podcast. Again, thank you to our episode sponsor, allaboutthesmokies.com. Be sure to check out to plan your next Smoky Mountain vacation. But that is it for now. This has been a podcast about the great Smoky Mountains. We hope you have a great day. God bless.